No, here's what we're gonna do. Basically, we're going to just take the Joe Rogan podcast
and
just
play it
record
over
it.
ours. We can do the iCarly intro.
Oh, yeah, we could.
And we're
Oh my
live.
god.
I'm Freddie Benson.
All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, so this is the first ever episode of Talk Louder, We Can't Hear You. I'm Jonathan Hampton, the moderator of sorts, not really a designated host, because my other hosts are Thomas Stokes,
Hi.
Jacob Iceman,
What? What are you saying? Wait, okay. Jacob Ison, but hi.
more famous
No,
for
Jacob
your username
Iceman.
than you are for your...
I guess so.
Everybody
Hi.
knows Iceman. And our first guest to feature on the show is Noah Jones.
Oh my gosh.
It's him. So Noah's with me currently, and we're over Discord recording with Thomas and Jacob as per usual, or as the usual will be. This is the first.
We do this all the time, we just don't record it.
it.
This is our 50th episode. We just not published anyway.
It's the first one we're publishing.
They're just
so, yeah.
unlisted on YouTube. They're just ready to
They're
go.
not even on YouTube. They're just we never recorded.
I'll never. There's just files on my dashboard. So yeah, this is Talk Louder, the podcast that we're going to be doing. I've sort of through an epiphany over the summer, committed myself to doing a podcast for one whole year, recording every Sunday. The idea is we're doing this for us, sort of. It's going to be us, our friends, just talking about things that are going on. The name Talk Louder, We Can't Hear You, sort of derives from that, there's a million podcasts out right now.
Sounds like a
million
sitcom.
people making YouTube. Yeah, it kind of does. Million people making content right now. People with millions of followers getting paid to advertise things.
It's gonna be us.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
next.
The irony is
We're gonna
if
sell
it ever-
out.
If it ever gets big, we become the thing we make fun of. But yeah, I mean, all it's gonna be is just our opinions on things, commentary about stuff that we're interested in, and just something for us to share with people, our friends, and then if people enjoy it, they can hear what a couple of college students and their friends have to think about the world and what's going on around us.
You're welcome in advance.
Yeah. And these opinions are free, so. So I guess the first thing, just easing everybody into it. And school, this is really, last week was the full week because they made our schedule weird because we all go to the same school.
Hey,
But this is
John.
going to be, I guess, the real week. It's, no syllabus stuff and all that. So things are kind of in full swing. But I do know we all worked vastly different summer jobs, and everybody can talk about that. We'll start with Jacob. You can
Why?
divulge
That's
as
so
much as
boring.
you want.
Also, speak up.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
Talk louder. We
Talk
can't
louder,
hear
we
you.
Talk
can't
louder. We can't hear you. But no, that's so stupid. Anyway, I just
Vote me
worked
up
a,
on Discord.
I worked a. That's fair, actually. That's what I'll probably do. I worked a data entry job. I don't know what else to talk about that though.
Did you put stuff into
Lloyd?
spreadsheets?
And no, it's not spreadsheets. We have like a program where this is gonna get really boring really fast. You really shouldn't have started with me. We had a program where I'd have like a sheet of paper and it'd have so every time you go visit the doctor in a hospital for like surgery or anything, they have these sheets and it has like all your personal information, your social security, your date of birth, your hometown, all this crap.
He
And
has all
So
of
you're
this
rich now,
information.
is what I'm hearing.
no, but like I see that all and I have to plug it into the program and the program takes that and they file it away. And that was just my job. I'm just a middleman for that whole process.
Okay, so it's just like the sheerest form of data entry.
Yeah. That's all I did,
So
guys.
did you enjoy it? Did you have
No, I wanted to die. It was actually really terrible because like the whole time, like, and it sucks because like I only had to do that for a summer, but as I was leaving, like all my coworkers that like they're all mostly like middle-aged women. I was like, bro, y'all still have to do this after I leave. I was like,
Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
God.
You're like the one toy being grabbed. Like
I felt
all the other
terrible.
toys watching it leave.
Dude, I felt terrible because I was just like, damn, like you all have to still be here for like a while.
Did you befriend any of these middle-aged?
Well, the thing is that since it's my dad's company, I worked for my dad. They like a lot of them knew me since I was a kid. So like, I have. Oh, I should not. I forgot. This is like public, so they're gonna if they even listen to this, which I doubt, but they'll hear this and I feel kind of bad. They all know me, but I don't know a lot of them.
Well,
And
that's
I
fair
feel-
to say, right? Because if
That's
they
like
knew
the
while you were a
typical thing
kid,
for any kid. Yeah, you go to like a family reunion and they're like,
I know,
I
man.
remember you when you were this big, and they
I-
hold up like 2 fingers,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, I don't remember you at all.
No,
It's
but I
crazy.
don't say that. So they don't know.
No,
I feel
I
terrible.
know. You don't say that because it's implied that you don't remember them. It's rude.
Not
It would be rude.
necessarily.
Well, what I mean is that it would be rude to like walk up to them and be like, "Yeah, I don't know you. Sorry."
That's true. That's true.
But like they know you don't know them, but they know that like they've like been a part of your life in some form or another. So for them, it's like appropriate to be like, "Yeah, I've known you for a long time."
Yeah, but I'll keep it ambiguous. There were some that obviously I was like closer to, and I didn't know them, so I talked to them in the office and stuff. And then also my cousins worked there too, so there was that.
What do you
But,
think the proper response is in those scenarios, though? Like
when
with
you
family,
I
and they're
I
like,
just
"Oh my gosh, you've grown up so much,"
I
and
think you
then they're
just
like,
suck it up and
they
be
throw you the
awkward.
card, or they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you remember when I used to bring
I
you
just
guys ice cream when you were like 4 years old?"
well, I usually either say like no, I don't really remember that, or if I do remember it, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of do remember that. That's what I usually just say.
Yeah, I think that's just one of the
So
scenarios where
honesty
like
is the
you
best
you
policy.
want to be as nice as possible, but like you want to like tell them you remember them because you want them to feel valued, but like ultimately you can just if you don't remember it, like I think like the best thing you can say is like I remember like being treated well, and I hope to like have
I
good
mean,
experiences
they're
going
not
forward
gonna
or
hate
whatever.
you.
Horrible. Up until this point. no.
Unless it was so traumatic, I pressed it. No, I don't think anything.
I mean, it's not like they're gonna like hate you for not remembering something.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody.
I don't know. I don't know if it's
for not remembering
in
something.
your minds you think it's. And in a lot of this, I'll go ahead and preface right now. My whole job in all of this is sort of to play devil's advocate on everything. That's kind of the role I want to take upon.
Just to get us to keep
pick
talking.
your guys' brains, because I feel like a lot of us are gonna have very similar opinions, basically because we're kind of from a very similar like sample.
Except when it comes to video games.
Oh yeah, whenever we get to Pokemon, Tom and I are gonna do.
I am very opinionated about Pokemon.
And I am very opinionated too. We'll get to that. We'll do that either this time or
I
next.
have no
We're
opinion.
gonna do a whole thing. We play like the Pokemon music, and me and Tom are just gonna yell at each other. Someone above us is going sprinting in circles. Anywho, well, okay. So I will say for most of us, it was summer jobs, and they were unique. But I do know that Tom was doing a thing that you were already kind of doing. In fact, I was there when Tom got offered the job he's doing right now.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
We went into the comic store because we were like, we want to play the Final
It's
Fantasy
not a
card
comic
game.
store. It's not a comic store.
It's
We're out of that market. So my summer job
a nerd store.
is I worked at a nerd store. So
Anywho, yeah.
yeah,
We
my
were
summer
together.
job was that I worked at a hobby store. It was a store that I've been going to, and it is a store that I go to a lot, both for work and to just hang out. It's where I've been going to play Magic for 9 years, and I'm almost 22. So I've been going there a long time, and I walked in one day close to the end of the semester last year, and it was with Jonathan. We were going to buy Final Fantasy TCG product, and one of the people there that's my friend, he was like, "Hey, you want a job?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." And that was how I got hired, and I've been working there since. It's been over a year. I've been working for just over a year. Or actually, no, it might be closer to like 16 to 18 month range of how long I've been working there. And what I do at the store is I'm a minion. That's my official job title. I'm a minion. And
You're kind of always in the back corner doing something on a laptop every time I come
most
in
of
there.
the time, what I do is I work on a laptop and I manage our store's digital storefronts. So I'll like put stuff in boxes to send to like warehouses so that when people buy stuff, they're shipped items from the warehouse basically. But other than that, all I really do is like handiwork around the store, like moving shelves, rearranging product. Like today, I went into work, and that's why we're recording at 3:30 instead of 2:30, and I had to go in and like disassemble a halogen light so that we could recycle it, and then I had to like I disassembled a light. I had to sort some cards for storage, and I had to like fill a hole in the ceiling with like drywall stuff so that
With
It's-
ramen.
yeah or whatever. I did something.
And then
I don't know
plastic.
exactly how to describe like fixing stuff because that's stuff I learned from my dad. So it's stuff that I don't know like the exact processes for, but like I can do it to a
think-
degree.
I think you can just describe fixing stuff as fixing stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's how I would describe it. So most of what I do is just
You're
like
good.
random, really boring menial tasks that other people in the store don't want to do.
And you've known the people you've been working there with for a while, I
Oh.
imagine.
Yeah, the people that I now work with are the people that worked the store when I started going 9 years ago. Like I would call myself a very close friends with everybody at the store, including my boss.
Yeah, and you're still there, so that kind of, eliminates the question of asking, how's it like leaving and that sort of stuff starting school, because you're still obviously working.
Yeah, I have to say that I don't plan on, working at the hobby store for, the rest of my life or
Yeah.
anything, but
Yeah.
Don't let them hear this. You're gonna have a job by next week.
sorry.
No,
I was going to say that I'm probably going to work at the where I'm at now until I get
I
some
would
sort
assume
of
for the
like,
rest of the school year, right? Or for
yeah,
senior
until I
year,
get
to
some sort of like
something,
career
graduate, get
relevant
something.
internship
Yeah.
or something, yeah.
Which I mean is
Yeah.
most people working
Yeah.
part-time during school. The reason I was bringing up leaving and stuff is I was going to talk about I went all the way to the wonderful state of Indiana to work at a company called RPD. I was
With your
doing warehouse
girlfriend.
work and logistics. Yeah.
We must be thinking of two different Indiana. The one I know is not. I would not say wonderful would be my number one.
I'd say the only two things was it rained literally like every day, if not every other day, for the first 2 months we were there. But
Early crops,
but-
bro.
that's not the state. I asked about it. They were like, it's just a really rainy year, and I guess it rained here a lot too. This summer.
Yeah,
It was just a
sure.
rainy summer. It's correlation, not causation. But yeah, I did that for a summer. It was interesting. I mean, I don't know. I guess cool with the idea of picking up shop and just going somewhere else for a while. And granted, it was short term, and Discord and texting and all that. I would still be able to stay in contact with most of the people I know. So it wasn't like it was giving up something. And I was still with Cammy, so it wasn't,
Indianapolis
alone
is
up
pretty
there.
cool.
Yeah, it was the rain and the really poor drive. So the rain was just, that was just a thing that was East Coast, I guess. So, that just wasn't the state. With the drivers, I will say, very angry. There's a lot more people like just doing really dumb things.
That kind of surprises me.
You
I
wouldn't think
don't
that.
see that when I think of Indiana. I don't think of that.
Of bad
I mean,
drivers.
I don't want to like draw any like lines or whatever, but like I've been driving
And
around town
it's not
a lot.
like me.
No,
being-
I'm saying like
it's filled with terrible drivers. I would just notice. Gosh, there's so many people just like cutting me off or not, just like gunning it and cutting someone else off or merging.
Yeah.
There's
So a
no
lot of,
rules
like,
in Indiana.
running red lights. Yeah,
People are
so,
just
Indiana, a lawless land.
it's like Mad Max.
basically.
But I was also gonna say that like around town, now that school is starting back up and freshmen are moving in and everybody's going back to their homes or whatever, they're a lot like the average driver in town is getting like seemingly worse because like people don't know where they're going and
worse, and it's new
traffic's
people.
getting worse.
Yeah,
like I was trying to go home from work, and I have to take like main roads back to my house. Basically, is typically the fastest way, and then I was basically in gridlock for like an hour on my way home.
Oof.
And you know how long the commute is from my house to work normally?
It's only like 15 minutes, right?
Like 8 minutes.
No, half that.
So it took me an
Well,
hour
yeah.
to drive an 8-minute distance.
Well, the traffic wasn't too bad. We were relatively close
That's
to the
that whole-
warehouse, so it wasn't an awful drive. I mean, for the first bit of the summer, it was like 10 minutes, which I kind of got really used to, just rolling out of bed, getting clothes on, and then just driving to work. It was fun. It was a whole lot of fun to work there. There was a lot of really cool people I worked with who kind of had to put up with me brainstorming through the podcast and in its early phases. A lot of just being in the warehouse and talking to them about it gave birth to a lot of the initial ideas that all got scrapped. So
thanks for nothing, Indiana.
no,
You
they
can't
waste
drive.
of time.
I don't know anything about
they were
hockey.
very supportive, really about pitching the idea. but they were supportive about it, and it just allowed a venue for me to talk through ideas and let me just stoke the flames of excitement for the month before. And a shout out to them through this. I'll go ahead and ask you three. When you buy bread from the store and you open it up and you get a loaf or you get
Okay,
you
I
get
already
some
know where this
slices
is
out,
You guys got the end
what do you
pieces?
do with the bread tie when you're done?
Oh, I put it back on. What are you talking about?
Okay, here's the thing. When I was growing up, I had never heard
This is for you, Curtis.
this question before ever. Like
I
it
love
was,
this question.
you had the bread tie, right? Like obviously, if it's on there, it's meant to go back to seal it
Yeah.
up. And when I heard that people don't do that and they do what I'm gonna refer to as the twist and sit.
Oh, we
Where
call
you-
it twist and
Yeah.
tuck.
Twist it over and tuck it on the loaf, right? I was like, why would that doesn't make
Yeah,
any
why
sense.
would you do that?
And then I did it once and I've never gone back.
What?
If you walk into my dorm right now and bread is twisted and tucked, and I couldn't tell you where the tie is if you held a gun.
So
to
we
my
got
head.
one twister, and we've got someone who uses the bread tie still. I'll say
I use the
I
bread
still
tie.
use the bread tie.
Yeah, I did too.
So Tom, what do you use?
So I live, with multiple people, and we're not all on the same page when it
Oh,
comes
it's a divided household.
Civil
House
War.
divided can't stand.
So, me personally, I try and hang on to the tie like as long as possible. But when the tie, mysteriously vanishes,
There's
and
nothing you
somebody
can do.
does if you had like an alignment chart of like how to keep your bread, and like lawful good is like keeping it with the tie,
Honestly,
and
I've already seen one of
chaotic
these, yeah.
evil is just like leaving it open. I feel like the twist and tuck is like neutral evil. But like,
Yeah, that's fair.
True
I
neutral.
think it's
okay, where would you put the twist and
say
tuck
it's-
on the alignment chart, Jonathan?
chaotic neutral.
Chaotic neutral.
I
All right,
agree.
This
I
is
can
gonna
see
mean
it.
nothing to people who are listening to this.
But
The
when-
alignment
when-
chart is for a breakdown of
Just
people who
Google
don't
alignment.
know.
You'll
Yeah.
see
Yeah,
like
Google it.
4 million. Just
It's-
pick your favorite one.
It's a breakdown of so the top tiers. So the three tiers are like lawful, neutral, and evil.
Yeah.
and then you have
And then you have.
it's lawful, neutral, chaotic,
It's good. It's good, neutral, and evil.
John,
Going
this,
from top to bottom.
this is a perfect time for you to practice your editing skills and just put it up on YouTube. Like you have like a little you fade it in.
Oh yeah, I could.
There you
Or I
go.
couldn't. So it's good, neutral, and evil from top to bottom, and then from left to right, it's lawful, neutral, and chaotic. So I mean, you have like lawful good, chaotic evil, true like neutral evil, which is just true evil, true good, which is and people will take these and will do things like the bread tie thing. We didn't get that far at work. We at work, I don't even know how it came up, honestly. But I know Curtis asked, I think it was Matt, how he does it, and Matt was like, "Oh, I put the bread tie back on every time," and he was like, "Then you're definitely a serial killer. Anyone who uses the bread tie repeatedly, serial
What?
killer."
I don't
And then we were like, because I jumped in because I use the bread tie, and I was like, "No, leaving it open is definitely wrong. We can agree on that. Doing nothing." But through this debate, I have deemed that both are fine. But we did look
Just
up.
keep your bread. Keep a fresh loaf. However you have to go about it.
I kind of wish we had
As long as it stays fresh, you're right. If you have
I wish
mold
we
on your
had
bread, you're
like
doing
one
it
guy.
wrong.
I wish we had that one guy who's like, I have a bread box, like a box for his bread.
I take all my bread out of the bag and put it in a Ziploc bag.
I put each individual slice into. That's the cereal.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that I use the bread tie for as long as possible until it inevitably goes missing, and then I do the twist and tuck.
But interesting fact about bread ties, because when we were looking this up, we couldn't find out if they were actually they're actually useful or not, or which method's more effective. But what we did learn is that if you go to your bread right now and you look at the twist tie, they're color coordinated based on what day they baked the bread.
Really?
They don't bake bread on Wednesday or Sunday, and I saw
It's a
this
holy
in the
day.
middle of
You guys gonna say that the Lord's days?
Sabbaths.
Only unleavened bread on Wednesdays and Sundays.
You can break bread on Sunday, but you can't bake bread on Sunday.
Yeah.
I made that joke over the summer, and I was really proud. It's been a while, but I think like yellow is Tuesday, green is Monday.
But I mean, what are you gonna do with that information? Like, are you like a purist? I
Well,
only
when-
eat bread that was made on Monday.
I only
If
eat
you go
Monday
on there
bread.
multiple colors, then you could be like, I want to get the bread that was baked closest to today. However, when I have gone to buy bread since, which has only been once,
They've all been the same.
they've all the same color.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think
'Cause
is
they make a
the
billion loaves of bread
general,
every day. Yeah.
general thing.
Well, also,
And
like-
in transit from the bakery to the store.
Yeah.
Does that necessarily mean it's like this week? It could have been like last week or the week before.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, you got a Wednesday and
Yeah.
a Monday. Like, you don't know if it was the Monday before or after the like.
Yeah,
Like,
You're
it's-
just taking a stab in the dark.
Yeah, like it's Thursday and you're
Because
like,
you
oh,
may
this is
think it's the
Wednesday
freshest,
bread.
but really it's just a week old.
It's like 2-month-old
Very
bread.
end of life. Well, I don't think 2-month-old bread. Anywho,
You know what I mean.
yeah. If any of them listen to this, I did the bread tie discussion, and we're gonna ask new people that. That's our weekly thing.
Oh God, why?
No, it's not.
Good.
It just may be a small conversation. It was just a
We
running
can- we
gag,
can talk
the
about
joke, and we mentioned that I would mention it on the podcast, so
Okay.
I did, and it spurred an interesting conversation. So the more you know about your bread, and whether you're a serial killer or not. And then surprisingly, this was taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to. Just talking about our work, but we segued. But last but certainly not least, Noah Jones, who worked probably the most interesting job of the four of us.
Interesting, maybe.
Interesting on paper.
Yeah.
Not interesting in practice because you didn't tell us over the summer some of
Yeah.
the things.
I worked in a hospital over the summer, essentially as a nurse. That's what I'm going to school for. You see so many things, so many things in a hospital. Especially where we're from. It's homelessness and drugs, and it is just really crazy. And eventually, you just go numb to it, and you forget that everybody in the world isn't crazy, and that everybody doesn't need you to stick your finger in some orifice for some reason or another. That's basically what your job is as a nurse.
It changes your mind.
You walk into a room, like, which orifice did the doctor tell you I needed to put my finger in? And they give you a list of them, and then you just do it.
That's just life.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, in a way, and then weird segue from that specific example, but I mean, it's sort of that was the inspiration for the first bit of the podcast, which sort of holds true. Is that life experiences, whether you as an individual deem them unique, you don't know how other people will view it, because not everybody has the same walk. We don't all do the same thing. The three of us have never done anything with any patient's orifices, but Noah has.
Oh.
And it's just vastly different, I'd say, viewpoints on things. I mean, not even with the nitty gritty and the gross. Just I mean, working in a healthcare profession.
Yeah.
I mean, probably you see a lot of stuff, but also on it, would you say like it humbles you more, the situation, being in a position where you're taking care of other people, or like you said, you become numb to it, where it's just a list of tasks that you're carrying?
Know. People outside probably think it would humble you. I've never met anybody inside that it humbled. It usually like hardens people. Like you think of nursing or like the healthcare field, you see these videos online of like these little kids with cancer, and the nurses are like playing Nerf with them in the hallways or something. But it's usually, and a lot of peds nurses are that way, but anybody else is just like, you just get so, I don't know, you see so many people over and over and over again. It's just like, oh my Lord.
Yeah, actually, I kind of relate to
them.
that.
Then I mean, I can't imagine what that'd be like.
Yeah.
Like, the emotional stress you're putting onto it. If anything, you become numb to it because that's how you.
You
are then able.
That's
to
true.
do
That's
job.
true.
That's relatable though, because since I did data entry for hospitals, like you get the same patients over and over. Like I understand that.
Oh yeah, that's true. You probably maybe you entered some data on some of.
Stuff's like kind of sad though sometimes, because like you'll get patients that are like they're like 67, and then they have to write it on the thing. It says deceased, and so like the person's passed away. It's really sad.
Yeah.
And I'm not even like there, obviously, but it's still like even that has a little impact on you. You're like, damn, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the thing. Is
just stay out of the hospital. Everybody just be healthy.
Drink your orange juice.
Stay out of the hospital.
Daily vitamin.
Respect your healthcare professionals if you have to come in.
8 ounces.
Try not to spit on anybody.
8 glasses.
8 glasses.
8 days a week.
There we go.
we can spin into sort of the first thing I had prepared. It's a little out of the news at this point, but
Drum
I
roll.
think it's
Give us a drum roll.
Spider-Man. He's
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man.
Guardian,
He's dead.
which actually it kind of meshes in with two of the top plans. So this Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man,
Okay.
is the third actor to play Spider-Man.
And the
Yeah.
best. Just putting that on record.
I'll go ahead and say I think he's
I
the
completely
best.
agree. He is probably the best Spider-Man.
He's the
Tom?
best just because he plays the same video game that I play.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 14.
Unbiased, complete
Unbiased.
opinion.
Okay. I just think he plays the best. He does
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man's supposed to. Anywho, no, that's not the point.
He's not like he's not too old that he doesn't look like he looks silly as a student, but he's also like not too young that he looks silly as like an adult. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even with the Spider-Man movies, all three different actors, I think, did phenomenal jobs. Spider-Man is probably one of my favorite of the heroes that come from the Marvel universe. I just really like Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is just a fan favorite. It was one of Stan Lee's favorite characters to write. And it's just a really interesting character and popular character all around. It's on its third iteration, and it's a little bit of a bump in the road. I'm sure most people who are Marvel fans, which is 90% of the population, with the rise of their popularity,
It's really high.
has probably heard about the. That's a straight fact. It's actually 90%. Has heard about the things that have been going on with the Disney and
Sony.
Marvel dispute. Or sorry,
Oh,
or
yeah,
Disney
Sony.
and Disney, which is Marvel, and Sony. You're right. Sorry.
Because Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man, right?
Yeah. So basically, to sum it up, because truthfully, that's sort of the point of this podcast is to gather information. Because you'll click on one news site and it won't tell you anything about what you're trying to find. It'll just give you like a really cut and dry information with a really clickbaity title, so you go read that one because that's how they make their money. But anywho, I did a little bit of a digging spree on this, and basically what I came up with, and maybe not everything I have is correct. Maybe I'm not remembering it all right.
We're gonna roast you if it's not. So
All right. Sony was the ones responsible for the first two iterations of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That arguably, good or bad, take them or leave them. Whether they started out good and ended badly, or started out bad and that got good.
Spider-Man 2 was great.
That's what it is. So for the new whole era, with Marvel kind of pushing this giant cinematic universe together to get Infinity War out and Endgame out and stuff like that, with these massive collaboration projects, they kind of did a deal with Sony several years ago, saying that they would send over a writer or a figure who would kind of guide the project, but Sony would put money into it, to the project, put money into the filming and all of that stuff. So Sony would make the revenue off of the movie, but Marvel still owned all of the like brand deal sort of deal things, like the action figures and stuff like that they could put the Marvel on for the cinematic universe and stuff. They got revenue off of that. So it was this weird split, and I think it was they had to reach a certain point, and then they would rehash, or so many years had to pass before they would rehash
Probably that.
the terms. But the terms were just here recently, and that's where things kind of went awry. And that Marvel then said that they wanted to split the profits. They wanted to keep what they were getting currently, Marvel Disney, and they also wanted 50% of the profits off of the movies because these movies are doing incredibly well. The recent Spider-Man movie, Homecoming, from what I gathered, did extremely well. I want to say somewhere around 500 million.
It was a really popular movie. It was a really good movie.
Yeah.
I never saw it.
It's great.
But yeah, so Sony wasn't cool with that deal. They couldn't find common ground, and they kind of split. And a lot of people right now are putting a lot of the hate on Sony. The Area 51 storming kind of got switched to storming Sony. They're like, let's forget Area 51. We're going to Sony to get Spider-Man. And it was kind of all silent on the Western Front for a while. And Tom Holland announced, kind of cleared everything out, said that he would be staying. He'd be staying as Spider-Man. So Tom Holland's not going anywhere. And he would be working under Sony, and that they still have things planned for the future, and there's still going to be Spider-Man movies, just different, same cast, different director. But I think it's at a good timing because of spoilers alert for those who haven't watched Endgame at this point, which it's on you if you haven't, but I won't say anything. things towards the end of that movie have sort of led towards a separation to where maybe Spider-Man can become his own property and less tied into the MCU, because they've kind of done their big build-up. I mean, they had this huge plan for Endgame and Infinity War, and now the dust is settling into sort of that rebuilding period. So I think it's a good time as any for this to happen. If this had happened, prior to Endgame, there would have been, a lot of issues with getting him in the movie and stuff like that. But yeah, it's sort of crazy how Disney, who is just this massive corporation, owning
really
Marvel
silly.
and owning everything, wanting more money off of it. But some people think they're justified in the fact
Well,
that
no.
they're the reason why the movies were so popular, because it's their person who's writing these stories and creating the Spider-Man that everybody loves now, and why Tom Holland's so popular.
That's
he's a great
fair.
actor, but every great actor's still, behind a writer.
Yeah, it's fair that like Disney did put a lot of work into those movies, but it's also fair to say that Sony really needs that money, honestly, to like support itself. And Disney is a huge company that really doesn't need the Spider-Man movies that bad. And honestly, they've really screwed over the fans over like profit. Like they really just wanted the money, and they could have given a good experience for fans, and that's like in my opinion, much more worth it than all the money, because they already have the money. They don't really need it that bad. Disney isn't suffering.
Often with these massive corporations, it's less like what the fans want and what's gonna attract attention and garnish money. And they felt that Spider-Man was a growing property, and they wanted to capitalize on that. But they couldn't reach an agreement since Sony still owns the rights.
I mean, if the fans, what I was not really getting is what people were crying about. I mean, if they're mad, like, oh, we've been through all these Spider-Mans, and we've had to different actors that want to play him, and now we're gonna have to have a new one. No. I mean, we're still gonna have the same one. Like, they're still gonna make the same movies, like you said, with the
Which it did take a while. So when the news broke, Tom Holland wasn't allowed to say anything.
I guess that's what it was.
So I think it was justified at that point, because people really didn't know. We didn't have a lot of information about what was going to happen.
It's not like they're going to be keeping Spider-Man out of any upcoming, like, I guess you'd say collaboration movies like Avengers or something. A bunch of heroes in them, because I mean that's basically done.
Yeah.
So I mean at this point, as long as in my book, as long as Tom Holland is playing Spider-Man, I don't care who is putting the movie out.
So they're not going to keep Spider-Man out of like the Marvel Universe movies, though?
No, what he's saying is that because with Endgame, they're not doing these massive collaboration projects anymore. They're doing
fair.
Like rebuilding.
That's fair.
They've got to get new heroes in. They've got to.
That's true.
Stuff. Disney's also doing that Disney Plus thing that I know literally nothing.
We should ask Connor. He is absolutely ecstatic about the Disney.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, actually?
That should have
he really is.
That should pick his
Why?
I don't know.
No, from what I gather about it, they're putting out like 3 or 4 different Marvel shows right now.
That's probably why he loves it.
And that's a lot.
I don't like it.
But yeah, on the note of, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just think that like putting out another like video on demand service is not like a great tactic.
Oh, yeah,
well, it's a good tactic for like making money, but I feel like it's like anti-consumer.
Yeah,
it's sort of this whole Apple idea that everybody wants to design their own ecosystem. Everybody in, which Apple does wonderfully. I mean, they make these products that only you're gonna work with your iPhones and your AirPods. No one's got them in right now.
I do have them in
right
right now.
Consumer though.
The blue iMessaging.
I am rich.
The only people.
Don't talk to me.
He can't actually hear me right now because he has his AirPods in, and mine are sitting on
the
counter. They're not in.
What's going on?
But yeah, everybody. I feel like that's the shift right now. Is everybody wants to make their own ecosystems with all of their properties and products and stuff like that.
But the thing is, when you do it with TV, that's just called cable. Yeah. Like it's just.
But a lot of people are
not just that though, guys. Like the thing is that Disney owns like 30% of media. So if they do that, they can pretty much close off like 30% of content to Netflix. That's like really.
Oh, it's ridiculous how much Disney owns. If you ever look into that,
they're way too.
Speaking of Disney, outside of just the Spider-Man stuff and just onto their movies, I'm sure everybody recently, whether you saw it or heard about it, know that there was a 3D remake or live action remake of Lion King.
There was a live action what? That is insane. How did they get the lion to talk?
It took them 10 years to train the lion how to speak.
That is insane. I don't know the lifespan of a lion, so I don't know if you're telling me the truth or not.
He's dead now.
Okay.
But I mean, I think back to the big one was Jungle Book, was when they kind of moved that live action for the Jungle Book as a remake. and I thought the Jungle Book was good. I thought the live action Jungle Book was kind of cool.
Never saw it.
I took a darker spin on the Jungle Book.
Don't know what to say.
I hadn't seen the original Jungle Book in years, but I thought the first one was cool. But then we go into they made Cinderella. I guess technically Alice in Wonderland was kind of one of the forefront ones.
I don't remember this. I guess it's.
I remember the Cinderella
Because
one
I'm
because I
boy,
sat
I
next to
don't
a
know.
trash or movie theater. to watch that movie. Anywho,
There was a
Is it a
Cinderella
literal
one?
trash can?
I
or
literally
someone
sat in
that
the
was
floor
a trash
next
can?
to the trash.
Oh, okay.
There were no seats. It was so popular. Sorry, so Cinderella was before Jungle Book.
No.
Then it was Jungle Book, 2016. And then Alice Through the Looking Glass, which I guess was the second. Beauty and the Beast, which
Beauty and the Beast
was
was
really, really big.
awesome, dude.
There's a lot of good songs from that. Christopher Robin, the Winnie the Pooh thing, which I thought was horrifying, but I never saw it.
Never saw it.
I saw that. That was good.
Dumbo,
Is that out? Did that come
I
out?
guess so.
Did I miss that?
March 29th, 2019.
Oh crap! Missed that one.
Go watch
Sorry,
Dumbo.
guys. Sorry.
I haven't seen
And
that.
then another huge one, Aladdin, that
It was
garnished
okay.
a whole lot of meme attention.
It was
and stuff.
alright.
I just refuse.
I haven't
I
honestly
rarely
seen a
see
lot of
movies,
these
so.
movies. I've seen Alice in the Wonderland and I've seen Winnie the Pooh, but I haven't seen any of these.
Winnie the Pooh makes me cry.
It was so good,
So I
though.
refuse to watch any
It was such a cute movie.
ball like a baby. I don't know why either.
And then The Lion King is July 19th. But also upcoming, we
Uh-oh.
have a second Maleficent
Yes.
Yeah, the world needed that.
in October.
Yeah, we need
I've
that.
not
now.
heard a whole lot about Lady and the Tramp.
How are they gonna make the dog?
The picture
scream?
for that looks so good, though. That's the thing. Like the little poster, I actually kind of want to watch that.
Mulan, which there's a lot of controversy. Don't know, but I do know that Mushu's not in it.
I
so-
heard
Wait,
there were
you don't know why there's
songs in it.
controversy around the Mulan thing?
So I've heard bits and pieces, but I've not looked. But I know that like they're changing the story a bit. Like I said, Mushu's not going to be in it.
Also, the Hong Kong thing, right?
Yeah, it's because the actor for Mulan outed herself on Twitter in support of the Hong Kong police.
CCP.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Well, there's multiple controversies, but that's one of the
There
bigger
you go.
ones.
Well, I heard from a storytelling perspective. I didn't hear.
Yeah, she like responded saying that the
Ah.
Hong Kong protesters were
Well,
like
it's not till
stupid.
2020, so still a lot of time. left.
Pretty epic.
They're making a Cruella, and then things that are in the works but don't have an announcement date, and we're looking at anywhere between 2021 and 2022 for these movies or
I'll be
further.
dead by then.
Yeah. Little Mermaid, Sword in the Stone, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Lilo and Stitch, Jungle Book sequel, Pinocchio, and then a Snow White.
Pinocchio, out of that, is definitely what catches
Strange.
my eye.
So it's interesting to see that a lot
I
of
guess.
classic Disney films from the 2D animation era are now coming back in 3D. And
But I don't get why they don't call them 3D remakes.
Yeah,
They always
well,
call
it's
them
a
live
live
action.
action,
Like
but
it's
it
not a
is
live.
live. So an interesting throughout that, I'd like to know what you guys think about just that, but not even just the 3D remakes, but just it sort of seems this whole kind of culture now with films and not even just that in media, we're really
Say-
hitting on in
say
just
the
this
word.
this era of nostalgia. I mean, it really seems like it's from an advertising point of view. There's a lot of remakes getting thrown out, not only in just live action 3D remake stuff like that, but also one that comes to mind recently was we got Nemo 2.
Nemo,
Or Finding Dory.
the
Sorry.
greatest movie.
I actually liked Finding Dory a lot.
Gerald. Is that
Gerald, I think it was something like that.
I
Finding
also
Dory
did
was
not
a-
see Finding Dory.
You should.
Oh,
It's
it
cute.
was so good. So
Um,
good.
It was
I'm
actually
drawing a
pretty
blank
good.
here,
Honestly, when that
Some
came
of
out, I was so worried it was gonna be bad.
Toy Story was on its
The new
fourth.
Toy Story was fantastic.
I haven't seen it.
as
Is it
well.
good?
Anybody has not seen it,
I
absolutely
liked
see
it. I
It's
thought it was very.
hilarious.
I should
Cammy
see
disagrees
it.
with me, but I thought it was good.
What does Cammy think?
It's better than the third one. That's my opinion.
She didn't like the overall story, but that's on her.
Well, how so?
Well, Tom,
Why
what
do
can you think? Remake? I mean, not even in movie media. I mean, you can think about video games. It seems like it's kind of less of a hold there,
Yeah.
because it's less that they're making.
Well, I mean,
new-
Doom remakes. There's a new Doom coming out this year.
Pokemon. That's kind of been Pokemon shtick the whole
So-
time.
Yeah.
So are you asking what do I think of just like remakes in general?
Well, right now I'm trying to list off a few that we think of
Mm,
before we get into the discussion of whether or not not.
well, I mean, crap. They've remade we just talked about the Spider-Man. They remade that so many times in
Yeah,
slightly
third
different
iteration of
ways.
Spider-Man.
enough time in between for there to be like new waves of kids that want to watch Spider-Man movies. I mean, there's some kids out there who Tom Holland is Spider-Man. Like it's the only Spider-Man they've ever known.
That's true.
And I guess pushing past
Lucky
the listing
children.
of
Tom,
things,
I mean, he is the best Spider-Man though. No matter if he's,
Goat.
he's honestly like he's really the best
definitely
Spider-Man. Honestly, dude, in
But
those
yeah, so-
movies in between, like the original like 3 and his, like they weren't good.
All right, this is
They
a
were
Tom
bad.
Holland podcast.
No, but we
You know,
should be
like
able to
it.
talk about
We're
something.
all in
about it, like-
agreement that
Tom
we liked
Holland
it.
fan.
Nah, but like let us like.
Tom Holland fan club.
We're
If
gonna
you wanna-
start it
but-
right now.
But if we can talk about Tom Holland, let's talk about Tom Holland. That's all I'm saying. Continue.
Well, the idea about it all was this nostalgia sell.
Yeah.
Do you guys honestly feel like that's sort of what's being targeted and stuff that you
Yeah.
consume?
Oh, for sure.
Are they targeting nostalgia or are they targeting like a new wave of kids? You know what I mean? Like
I think
there
it's
are kids out there who
nostalgia.
had never seen original.
Well,
They might-
my take on remaking things is that remaking things is inherently anti-consumer. Think about this.
It's a strong.
Why would
viewpoint.
a studio want to make the same thing over and over if not to try and peddle it to a new audience, right? Like
could-
how
you
many
could argue-
how many times can you make the same thing?
I mean, that's the question.
I think it
right?
depends
And
on
it's
the
not like-
execution.
yeah, and it's not like it's an exact remake, like you say. The execution, it's just different enough for people to be like, oh, well, this is probably different enough. But this at the same time with the Mulan thing we were talking about, people hear that there's going to be differences, and they're like, well, if it's not exactly the same as the original, I don't want to.
Yeah,
And it's like,
which,
well,
which is a
point.
lot of the controversy over things.
that's a really good point.
yeah,
A lot of people are very quick to point out the changes between the movies.
But have any of you guys seen The Dark Crystal before?
No, but I do know that they're remaking that.
No, there's currently a series. It's a prequel. But the thing is like that's
Oh,
so I think
right.
people might argue that that's like a like they're trying to use the Dark Crystal original movie as like a nostalgia for that. But honestly, because it's world building, it adds more to the world. I think that's a great way to do it. But I
So
do
there
think like
there definitely is a difference between
yeah,
The Lion King being a remake and Toy Story being a continuation
exactly. Yeah, true.
of the fourth. But
I
I think
think
that nostalgia power still lies in both, and
Oh,
that
I-
it's
that's
something
true.
from your past that you were, as a kid.
But I think the pure remakes are a little bit lazier. Like Aladdin was not well executed. But it's also
Yeah.
possible that the initial backlash to Aladdin forced them to like ramp it down and make it worse. It's also possible.
that's true. But I totally get what Thomas is saying. Like when you just think of the idea of like making the same thing over again,
That's true.
it
Yeah.
seems like a horrible idea for a company like
Abusive to the
video
consumer.
game company or something. Like why would if you literally make the same game over and over,
Well-
nobody's gonna buy it.
Here's what I was thinking. Here's what I'm thinking about when I say I think remakes are anti-consumer. Have any of you guys seen the original Blade Runner?
no,
Yeah.
I didn't see the new one, so this is all you.
Okay. Well, Jonathan, here's how I know it's anti-consumer is you don't even know what I'm talking about. The original Blade Runner has Harrison Ford doing a voiceover.
well,
Ruins the whole movie. Whole movie ruined by that voiceover.
it's like multiple different like copies of the movie.
Yeah, so Blade Runner has another cut where there's just no voiceover. And that version, also not the best version. There's another edition of Blade Runner where there's
No, okay, so like I said, I don't know anything. Is it the same telling of?
No, what he's talking about is it's literally the same movie, but they released different cuts of it.
yeah, so
Oh,
there
okay.
are certain things in
like a
certain
director's cut. of
This is
certain-
I feel like this is a bit different than just the Disney remakes. This is just them trying to resell the same product with a slight difference multiple times.
Well, I was gonna say that like it's not exactly
Yeah,
always a different product, or it's not always exactly the same product because sometimes the storytelling differences are actually
that's true.
significant.
That's
So I was gonna say that I think if you let somebody have that amount of control over deciding when they want to change things, it's not great. And I was gonna say that I think at some point you have to say that what you released was fine, and you start working on something else.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
you
give someone
can't
too
just
many
say-
options, and
Yeah, you can't say I'm going to work on Mulan forever, and I'm going to have, you know, the 2D Mulan, the 3D Mulan, the
Yeah, I agree.
4D Mulan.
4D Mulan.
Well, I think, but I think
garnishes. We're in the era of the 3D live remakes. What's next? If this is this era of nostalgia, I mean, what's
Well,
big
I mean,
things
I
in culture
know-
now? Or
I
are
know
they gonna?
what Thomas
VR
was trying
Mulan.
to say, like, and I think social media is a big problem. Not in general, but in this specific conversation of
Definitely
people
has problems.
have too much of a say, and these producers and movie studios or directors or whatever are too accessible and too
Yeah.
interactive with the public before
A direct
the product
feedback.
comes out. It's like, if you want to direct a movie, you need to direct the movie, and like, people obviously have opinions about everything. I mean, like,
Yeah.
we're on a podcast right
Like
now.
two
Obviously,
really
people have
big
opinions.
ones that come to mind: Game of Thrones and Sonic. I
Yeah,
mean,
and you
Sonic
have to
got
make it, and you have to
rehashed.
own it. You know, you can't let people, like, obviously some people are going to hate it, but you can't let them. If they were the director, they could make the decision, but they're not.
Which a lot of people have been debating over the Sonic of whether that was intentional
See.
or not to
make it that bad.
to make it go
to
viral.
make it that bad
To
to
make him
drive.
look
Yeah, make it go
horrible. Yeah,
viral.
I mean, that's true.
It's possible.
I think it's bad
It
publicity.
depends on how bad he looks when it actually.
I don't think it was on purpose, just because they had to push the movie back.
Oh no,
Change
I
it.
definitely don't think it was on purpose. That's just a theory floating out there on the internet.
Nothing since.
The Game of Thrones
it's
one's
cursed.
kind of is a bit of a sensitive topic. I brought that up in one of my classes in like the beginning week as an example of something we were talking about, and yeah, a lot of people are very unhappy, and I think they're very.
And I mean, sometimes that's.
But
the
I feel
point.
like the Game of Thrones one isn't necessarily what Noah's talking about, though, because that wasn't like a direct feedback. They had just already recorded those, and then
Yeah.
well, direct
But
feedback post.
It was a.
That's different, though.
They were definitely
Yeah, I
in
mean, it's definitely
danger.
different.
I could have seen that happen. Like, if they had put out, it's usually something where they put out a teaser or a photo or something, and people are like, "Oh, we hate this, we hate this." Well, I mean, not that long ago, before we had such easy routes to communicate with these people over these projects, that would have never happened. The movie would have come
Yeah.
out, people would have liked it, or you hate it.
Yeah, and then you'd
And-
hear about the feedback.
And sometimes you get movies that are so bad they're good again. And
That's true.
You're never gonna have that again if people are just like, "Oh, this is horrible. I hate it. If you don't change it, we're not gonna come see it."
I mean, I think you'd still have it, because I think a lot of the movies that are so bad they're good, they're not like big movies necessarily, you know?
That's true. That's true.
All right, spurring from all of this, I mean, it all kind of ties in with nostalgia remakes and stuff like that. I mean, you as individuals, do you think that nostalgia as a selling point or like a starting point for when you're going to create a new property, whether it be video game, a new book, a new movie, is the drive, the biggest point of this conversation?
I think
do
it
you think it
depends.
works? Do you enjoy it personally? As-
No.
I think it depends on if the consumers want it or not.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. Sometimes it feels like these remakes, no one asked for them.
No one asked for new Milan or new Aladdin, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But it
And-
sort of seems like everything's getting that Disney treatment now.
For me, if something's gonna be nostalgic, it has to be like the original product. Like, if I wanted to be nostalgic for I don't know why this is the reference that came to my mind. It's a little obscure, but if I wanted to play the original Max Payne game for the PlayStation,
That is
Yeah.
if they put a new one out, and I wouldn't go and buy it saying like, "Oh, this reminds me of the good times," because it would. If I wanted to be nostalgic for that time,
You
I
go
would
play the original.
go play Max Payne on the original PlayStation. You know what I mean? Even these
I get
remakes,
you.
they don't trigger that nostalgia trigger in me.
I also think it's just better, instead of just remake a whole thing, to instead like build onto the world. That's just so much better in every way.
Yeah, I
Which
agree.
sort of so spurring from, instead of necessarily remakes as far as nostalgia as a continuation of the series. I mean, huge one coming up for people who have been playing video games in the past decade. Halo. We're supposed to
The
get
MC.
the sixth and final installment of the main story of Master Chief.
No,
Oh, I
yeah,
was
see-
gonna say WoW Classic.
Which is a really, really
Super
big one.
classic.
Wow.
But that was demanded by the consumer, though, too.
Oh yeah, it was definitely wanted.
People are
And I
still
can
trying to
kind
play
of
it.
get something like that where it is almost a copy of the original, just updated in a way that makes sense. gotten better, and
WoW Classic is
You know
not
what I
from what
mean?
I
Yeah.
gather, though. It's straight up just
Yeah,
emo
it's just
files,
straight-
right?
it's just
WoW
straight with
Classic
it.
is just a straight port of vanilla.
And it's what they wanted.
Which is what
so, I
people
mean,
wanted.
Yeah,
but I
exactly.
don't get that. It's like if that's what you wanted,
You can't go play WoW Classic.
They
That is
missed
the
the
thing.
original,
It
that's the
doesn't
thing.
exist
Yeah,
in
I
any
guess.
capacity
I
unless
guess.
you're
That's-
running private servers and
that's
stuff
true.
like that. Which that's fair, I think. Creating something that's not accessible.
and that's the same point that I was trying to make earlier. Like it works and people love it because it's nostalgic, only because it's identical. Like if they were like, oh, here's WoW Classic, but we've updated all these little things and we've added microtransactions, woo, and everybody loves all this stuff we've done to it. People are not going to want. They want
Well,
the
that's a whole
exact
topic
same
that we
thing
can delve into.
that they remember.
Microtransactions.
They don't want it updated in any way. They just want a copy.
I think remasters are okay, but I also think the best way to do it is probably like the Halo way, where you can turn off and on the remaster.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
have not played a remaster. Every time I play a remaster, I'm just like, this isn't.
The
This is
same,
just.
exactly.
This is just a reminder that graphics have moved on,
And that
gameplay
I'm
mechanics have moved on. This game was really fun when I played it when it was the new thing,
Exactly.
but there are a lot of new things now just better
Yeah.
currently.
And nostalgia is really tricky that way. Like if you go back and try to capture it, sometimes you just
Well, that's the whole thing.
Completely
Is
kill it.
remembering things.
yeah,
I mean,
just
that's
remember it and
inherently.
have a good play your new video games and remember back when you used to play Halo 2 with your cousin.
Which I was gonna
Well-
say, so something, and everybody who play along. I guess it's a fun way to the nostalgia thing. We don't want to bash on it too long. Things that like you are extremely nostalgic about, whether they've gotten remakes, whether they are even properties, just like actions. What are something that you're like extremely nostalgic about? When I talk about nostalgia and stuff like that, what comes to mind? The first one for me, writing all of this and getting the storyboard, is it's the classic video game thing for me. It was when I got an Xbox 360 for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I played a lot of video games prior to that, but that was the first time I really did online gaming with my friends. And I remember getting home, punching in the live card, signing in, making my
Mhm.
profile, and putting the headset on.
Oh yeah.
And for the first time ever, hearing my friend at his house and we're
For
playing
the first
same
time
game.
ever, Jonathan had friends.
Yeah, I know. Without the 360, I was nothing. Which spurred on a massive thing, which I mean, in a way, kept a lot of our friendships together.
Yeah, that's true.
Throughout middle school and high school, and still today we still do stuff. And we're talking on a platform where I get on and can click a button and be in a voice call with several different people. It's easier now.
Mhm.
It's better, but I don't get that same.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think anything about it when I click on this Discord to join this call and we're all talking together.
Yeah.
It does nothing. I am not nostalgic about that in any way, but I am very nostalgic about.
You might be in the future though.
Yeah.
I mean, when this
exactly,
goes
that's
away,
true.
yeah, for sure.
And I don't. What,
You'll
like, to
sip on your
point-
monster and you'll say Discord. Now that was a good platform.
Yep, that's exactly true.
As
I
I
mean,
put
I
on
even
my VR goggles and my bodysuit that
You
when
plug
I get
yourself
hit in the
into
video
the
game I
internet?
feel.
In your cryo chamber.
And I plug my Ethernet cable into my spine.
Yeah.
That's funny. But
So
no,
it's always the good old days. I mean, I guess it's the class.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that you can be nostalgic for, but like I say, I feel like a lot of times when I go back and try to capture it, it almost kills it. Like
Oh, for sure.
when I go back, like again to the video game analogy, like, man, the original Halo was so great, and I remember having fun with it. And then you go back and try to play it, and you're like, man, this game, like as far as like technically and graphically and the way it plays, this game sucks. And then it just
It
ruins
doesn't
it,
live
and
up
you
to
can
what you
never go
remember.
back. Like every time you remember it from then on out, you're like, no, actually, I remember I tried to go back, and it was horrible, and it just kills it.
that's true. That's really true.
So, what are some that you were actually really nostalgic about? May
I
not have
always-
touched.
I always think of Halo.
Recently.
I get
Halo's
really
a
nostalgic for a really bad side-scrolling video game developed in Korea and popularized in the
Oh,
United
don't
States, Maple Story.
Maple Story.
Maple Story is pretty darn good though.
I go back to play Maple Story so
we played
frequently
this summer.
just because the sole reason I go back to that game is because it's where I met most of my friends.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, inherently, that's the birth of local man, isn't it?
yeah, it's
Jersey boys.
so we have a lot of friends in New Jersey, and I met them through a guy named Scott. And Scott, I met playing Maple Story. I was idling in a town, And in my friend's chat, I was like, I'm gonna go play Minecraft. See you guys later. And he was like, oh wait, let me come with you. He was like, I have this server we can play on. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? And that server was where I met the Jersey Boys. And we've been friends
Minecraft
for...
isn't a nostalgic thing for most people.
Yeah,
I don't know
Minecraft.
what it is.
Yeah.
I hate to cut you off in the middle of that because I know this whole story and I know it's going to go on really long. But I mean, yeah, it's the basic. I'm sure a lot of people in video gaming, whatever, have met friends exclusively through gaming, or are better friends with some people because of it than not. And I'm sure that's with everything. And, us, it's really heavily in video games, but for some people, it's sports, travel teams, stuff like that. You may have played basketball on a travel team and met somebody that you would have really known and play basketball with them your whole upbringing and childhood and stuff like that. There are different hobbies or interests and stuff like that.
But if you don't play video games, then you're
not
loser.
cool.
Yeah, just fine.
Do you guys?
But we hate you.
This is kind of a little bit of a really random cutoff from that, but recently I heard that there's a recent decrease in the amount of high school students doing football for the first time in like years.
I could absolutely see that.
Yeah.
And I love football, but I mean, they
say it's because of increased cost and like injury and stuff. There's just less kids who want to do it.
I completely agree.
My roommate thinks that it's the downfall. My roommate Hiram thinks it's the downfall of sports.
It's the end of sports.
It'll never be the end of sports.
It'll never be the end of
that's
sports.
kind of good. I'm glad you said that because that reminded me something I want to talk about while we were still talking about nostalgia, or like remakes or whatever. There's nothing new ever. Like at this point in human existence, there's literally nothing is new. Every movie's based on a book.
But that's just culture.
Movie. That's just culture. Like everything's based on something that's already happened. And it's
you could say that for
if we
anything.
could do it, that's why I say. Like if you start saying, oh, we can't base anything on, or like we can't make a remake of anything, then you wouldn't. Like the original Lion King is literally just Shakespeare with lines.
Well, it's also that one Japanese version of the same movie.
And it's like, okay, if we stop making remakes, or like we only put out 100% completely original.
It doesn't have to be that original, but the thing is that it's different to be a copy of something and to have like, like a different world or a different viewpoint on something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think both perspectives are fair. The one-for-one remakes for drawing inspiration from something. Yeah.
Drawing inspiration from something.
That mindset.
We live in culture and therefore influenced by culture.
Yeah.
We live in a society.
We do.
Gosh. We did in some way.
It's very true.
Yeah, I mean, we're right at about a good time after post-editing and everything. We were going to talk about the Amazon rainforest being gone.
Wait, how long have we been talking?
But it's already gone, and so we can't talk about
it.
I don't want to give the time because then when I edit this down past it,
I mean, you can still give the time.
We've been talking for an hour.
But it helps people appreciate
Amazon. That's a big thing. All I can say is read up on it, do your research. We're not going to talk about it next week.
All I can say is things on fire, man.
Sorry if you guys researched Amazon because I told you to.
People will put the government literally.
Okay. TLD. The Amazon.
You are cutting out.
There's a lot of misinformation out there. Am I cutting out?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, let's speak slowly and at a steady volume.
Just speak a little loud.
The TLDR of the Amazon fire is that the Amazon has been on fire.
And it is.
For a long time. There's always been burning in the Amazon.
Jeff Bezos.
It's not something that we need. It's not a wildfire. Not something that we need to. Everybody needs to get a bucket and go there. However, it is something to be worried about. What's going on is the president of the area is becoming more lax on burning laws because it draws in. It's a source of income for them. It's their economy. It's clearing land, providing it for loggers, providing it for farmland, stuff like that, and creating more farmland. A lot of the area that's being burnt isn't your traditional rainforest. It's not like thick vines and stuff like that. It's not the old rainforest that's been there for forever. It's land that has been burnt, regrown, stuff like that. However, more of it is being burnt this year than ever before, and that's the cause to worry. We're not destroying the world right now, but we're slowly getting closer and closer to that point, and everything else that's going on with the environment and stuff like that. It's not a very fun topic.
We need to figure out how to make underwater farms.
Yeah, the consensus is right now is that a lot of don't know what they're talking about when they talk about it, and far from anything for me to
That's a
say that I am an
shocker.
expert.
That's a shocker that people are talking
But
about.
the
things they don't
general reading on that, a lot of people are saying things because they don't know everything, and I don't know everything. I don't know
Well,
the gist of it.
also,
But a lot of people don't know that the land isn't old rainforest. It's relatively it's area that's already been burnt or is being burnt. It's not a wildfire. It was definitely man-made. Whether it was through legal means or not, that's at a toss-up right now because the laws are becoming more lax, and that's a cause of worry.
Yeah.
But it's also not like it's all on fire. It's a very small percentage of the actual rainforest, and no one will ever put that out on any media because I'm sure the percentage would be so low that it would kill the story right then and there. But however, don't get me wrong in thinking that I'm saying we should burn the rainforest. I think that it's a difficult
John is
situation.
pro
It's a
rainforest
John is
burning.
pro burn it. Yes, exactly.
Go burn the. It's a
official
difficult
stand.
discussion.
It's the truth is
these
difficult.
people's
It's a difficult
livelihoods.
topic.
It's this is they're doing it because that's how people make a living, or that's how
That's
they're going to
true.
raise their cattle, and that's how they're going to feed their families. And who are we to say you can't burn it? But at the same time, they're the lungs of the earth. I mean, a massive, massive, massive amount of trees that process oxygen.
I mean, isn't that the
CO2
whole?
and make oxygen and stuff? So
John,
we shouldn't be burning it.
Wait, trees
Isn't
make oxygen?
Isn't that the whole
do
like the road to hell is paved with good intentions?
Well, yeah, I'm not saying either or. I'm saying
I know.
it's a difficult conversation. I don't think we. And there is aid because more of it's on fire than to be on fire. A lot of hashing right now. But they don't want to accept the aid, and it's kind of an ugly situation right now. I don't want to delve too far into the politics of the situation.
It's a little silly.
I definitely advise people to read about it instead of
Silly
grabbing the first
rainforest.
article online. And with anything, I think everybody should do that. Don't just grab an article, go with it. Try and figure out exactly what's going on. Why are the fires being started? How much of the rainforest is actually on fire? But I do definitely think it's an issue. I think that climate's important. We need to keep everything in a decent position.
So should we be worried?
Should we be worried? That's
That it is
actually.
on fire.
I mean,
Probably
there's
a
always
conversation.
reason to be
Should we worry
worried.
about it?
I think just in the state of everything, yes, we should be in a constant state
Yeah,
of worry
no matter what.
about.
Yeah.
But also, I think
But
to a
it's
degree-
also not DEFCON 5. We don't need to.
Well, I
call
also
the
think
army and-
there's very little that Noah could do to stop the burning of the rainforest.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's nothing the four of us are going to be able to do.
I mean, I can only peace.
No, we can
No.
summon the 4 elements and become Captain Planet.
Are there four?
I mean, I also hate apathy.
We don't need fire, do we?
Those-
No. It's,
Don't
it's
bring
like
the fire guy.
no. The elements in
him to
Captain
stay on.
Planet are like Earth, Water, Wind, and Love.
Oh
No, there's
my God,
definitely
no.
fire.
There has
There's
to be
definitely.
I'm serious. If you look up like the Captain Planet
is
stuff,
cool.
I'm looking it up right
it's
now.
like
I'm
Earth,
looking it up right
Water,
now.
Wind, and Love. There is no fire in the elements for Captain Planet.
very.
There's 5 elements. The magic rings of Gaia:
environmental.
Earth, fire, wind, water, and heart.
Okay,
Fire!
so there is fire.
Got
There
you.
is fire. There's 5 of them. I thought there was only 4,
Oh my gosh.
but I knew
Earth,
Love
fire,
was
wind,
one.
water, and heart. That was the name of my
He
band
did
in
know-
high
Heart.
But yeah, overall, it's an important issue. Read up on it. We don't know everything, but yeah, be worried, but don't be panicked. But anywho, in closing, I'd say thanks so much for Noah for being our first guest.
God bless. God bless. I am happy to be here.
Our first and worst.
Told that there would
Also
be
the best.
free podcast swag. I haven't gotten any yet. So I'm just
It's in the
waiting.
mail.
You can have the keys
It's
to
in
my
the mail.
apartment.
It's in Jacob's mail that he mailed to me, but it doesn't have a tracking number.
It's in
so it
Spain right
may
now.
never show up.
Dude, thank you for mentioning that.
But yeah, thanks Noah. Thanks to you guys for sitting down, making this with me. We're gonna continue this for a whole year, hopefully. So
I'm never coming back. This is
Yeah.
my
That's
last
a work in progress, so we'll figure stuff out.
no, you can come back. The idea is we're making this. It's gonna be the 3 of us pretty regularly in case one of us can't make it for a week. We'll fill in. I probably have to be here the whole time I'm running, recording and everything. But if you guys want to step up, if I leave the country, we'll record extra episodes. Ideally, we'll put one out every week. We're just gonna have our friends on, or people we know, people we want to talk to about whatever's going on in the world, or just stuff we think is important to us. That's just gonna be the gist of it. If you want to keep in touch, if you want to be a part of it, reach out to us. And then surprise for you guys, on listen, my co-host.
Oh
and
my
guest.
gosh.
Right now you can go out
No. Oh.
You're cutting out, John.
and follow us at.
Oh, there you go.
How do I do
No,
Twitter?
you're good. You're good.
You can follow us at talk_louder. Talk louder, we can't hear you. It's going to be the official
Everybody
Twitter page.
download
of-
Oh.
You made us a Twitter.
I did make us a Twitter. The idea is if anybody wants,
Oh
they
my
can
God.
send a DM, tag us in something. If you think it's something we were talking about, if you had an experience you want to talk or have us mention, ideas, stories, stuff like that, DM it, tag us in it, whatever. I'll read it, and more than likely it'll end up in there. I will imagine 5 people tweeted us for the entirety of the year that we do this.
I'm gonna tweet at you every day just so it's much larger.
Okay. I won't be reading your stories because you can tell me. So yeah, we have an official Twitter page that you guys didn't know it exists. 2 weeks now.
I just followed it.
So yeah, well, I'm getting follows already. I don't know what days these are actually going to go out. A little bit of editing and work that has to get done
Cutting
before
out
the final
again,
product can. A little bit of work before the final product can go out.
Sorry.
Obviously,
we're gonna work on it.
there's some technical difficulties. We'll fix those.
It's the first
But
step.
the idea
We're
is,
gonna get there.
yeah, this is the first step. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's there.
Yeah.
Next week, we don't know who's gonna be on.
I'll be back.
No, you can come back whenever you want. No. The idea is we want to include as many of our friends as we can, and have as many people just to share this experience with somebody. So for people who listen, thank you so much for spending time with us. I hope our opinions didn't trigger you too badly.
I don't think
And
we
yeah,
had
If
any.
they did, tweet death threat at us.
Tweet
We
at
would love to
tweet-
see.
tweet, I hate you.
_louder. Tell me how much
Tell
you
how
hate the
Tell us how
podcast,
stupid we are.
and we probably won't change the format because this is the easiest thing
we
for us
already know
right
we're
now.
stupid.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.